It having reached the hour of 5:30, I am calling the February 4th, 2025 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Gutierrez-Brayton.
Here.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Here.
Councilmember Ricky.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bavaro.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
And Mayor Zwalin.
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Andrew Sampson from Modesto Church of the Brethren. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray together. God of many names, we come together this day asking for your blessing on this Modesto City Council meeting, the conversations and the decisions to be made. We pray that we may remember the ones who have come before and those who are to come after, before our opinions are spoken or resolutions are made. We pray that we may listen to one another, that the different voices be heard, as well as those that may feel silenced. We pray that we may consider the needs of all people, especially those who may vote, believe, look, love, and speak differently than ourselves. We pray that we may be reminded of our part and place in the created order, and act, speak, and listen accordingly with humility and reverence. We ask these things. Amen.
Thank you. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Just a reminder, public comment is 3 minutes, and there are blue speaker cards at the entrance of the chambers.
Thank you. Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest?
Mayor, I'll go ahead and I'll provide some information here. There will be 2 recusals for item 11 involving some street improvements. The mayor will be recusing herself since she does own property within 500 feet of the project. Also, Councilmember Gutierrez-Brayton will also be recusing herself out of an abundance of caution since her husband's business and property lease or tenant arrangement is also within 500 feet of the project.
Right, thank you. Will the city attorney please report out on closed session?
Yes, Mayor. The council considered a couple items under closed session involving property negotiations and existing litigation. No reportable action was taken. For the record, the property negotiation item related to 1000 L Street was taken off the agenda.
Thank you. Next is item 1, consider accepting the resignation of Jennifer Barrias from the Audit Committee. Does council have any questions of staff? I will open this item up to the public. Any members of the public who would like to come forward regarding item 1? Seeing none, I will close public comments. Any comments from council members? Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank her for her duties and her service to the community.
Thank you very much. I have a resolution accepting the resignation of Jennifer Barrias from the Audit Committee. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Williams. And will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Gutierrez-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwalin.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is public comment. As noted on the agenda, public comment will only be in person. Zoom will still be available for viewing and wordly translation. Thank you all for being here tonight. The City of Modesto Council meetings are a place where everyone is encouraged to listen, share views, and participate in the decision-making process that benefits our community. Your engagement is valuable, and it helps our council and city staff collaborate on finding solutions that enhance the quality of life for the residents of Modesto. To be fair and equitable, every individual has the right to speak at this council meeting. However, it is imperative that we foster and maintain a respectful environment for the well-being and safety for everyone present at these proceedings. It is the mayor's responsibility to preserve strict order and decorum at all council meetings. Pursuant to the Charter of the City of Modesto, Article 6, the Mayor, Section 601, Powers and Duties of Mayor. The mayor shall have authority to preserve order at all council meetings and to remove or cause the removal of any person from any meeting of the council for disorderly conduct, to enforce the rules of the council and to determine the order of business under the rules of the council. Accordingly, the city council meeting decorum rules are as follows. Please be respectful of all presenters, council members, staff, and members of the public. Please refrain from clapping other than following a presentation. All speakers are encouraged to state their name and city of residence. All questions must be directed to the mayor. Please do not block the view of others by holding signs up during council meetings. Time limits for public comment is 3 minutes, but may be limited at the discretion of the mayor to manage the business of the council. Speaking over others or interrupting while others have the floor is not permitted. Cell phones should be turned off or shall be set to vibrate during meetings. Thank you for your patience and participation as we work together to address the issues impacting the community. Maintaining order and decorum during the city council meeting is crucial in the effective governance of Modesto and ensuring the council's decisions are reflective of the community's priorities. Anyone disrupting the council meeting may be asked to leave. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public comment? This is for items not on the council agenda, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Anyone wishing to address the city council is asked to follow the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted at the entrance of the chambers. So I will start out by reading the names from the blue speaker cards in the order that I received them and call you up to the podium. And then you're certainly welcome to come after I read these blue card speaker names first. So first we have Diane Cruzy.
Yeah, thank you. Diane Cruzy, excuse me, Modesto. And I don't have a lot to say. The homeless right now, I guess you guys know the weather's pretty bad out there. And I wonder if you also know that most of the homeless that can't sleep anywhere because they're not safe are parked out on the Salvation Army because you folks, the police can't move them around. That's about the only safe place they have that they can sleep. But since you're not paying much attention to that, at least some of you anyway, I am also going to ask, I hope that somewhere along the line, the city council will address immigration and what the ICE are doing to our members of our people, that even though they're not common criminals or even any criminal whatsoever, they're still being picked up and done with what? They're going to wind up in Guantanamo Bay, and there, even our legal system, I don't think, can do anything about them. So even that's terrible because they're being removed from our sight, sound, and kind of like the gas chambers in Germany, in my opinion. But nevertheless, I hope you folks will have some kind of proclamation or something saying that people that are not criminals should not be picked up and treated like pieces of trash, because they're not. They came here because they're very, very drowning in their own countries. Some of them just can't even make it to the legal areas. And what we are supposed to be as a country, welcoming, according to our Statute of Liberty, that is, you're poor, you're suffering, etc. We sort of are lying right there in stone. But so anyway, I'm hoping you guys will do something, at least say something about it, and actually stand up and say that you are really for people, even though they're not the same color as you, or the same race, or the same gender, or whatever it is. That's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Milt Treewheeler.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and citizens. Milt Treeweiler. I'm a lifetime Stanislaus County resident. It's hard to figure out what's going on. In Stanislaus County, we've been given a Garden of Eden, and what are we doing? Are we going to turn it into a desert? We have a free will, and what do many people do? They pursue the love of money. We have an intellect, and we have choices, and some people are choosing not to conserve the priceless resources we have. We must be the conservationists for our children, since they cannot do this for themselves. We understand we must have clean air, water, and food, and yet we're not being good stewards. We're not conserving our resources. We humans think we're pretty smart. Each of us think we know what's true. However, no two of us agree on everything. You can fool the people, but you can't fool the laws of physics and mathematics. It's true, you can fool the people, but you can't fool the laws of physics and mathematics. We're using up the resources that will be needed for our children and future generations so that they can survive. We, as our children's ancestors, must work together to preserve the best farmland in the world that we have here in Stanislaus County. You should also be aware that in the next 15 years, California will need to fallow 900,000 acres of farmland in the San Joaquin Valley. There's just not enough water underground to irrigate it. TID and MID ancestors had great foresight when they formed the first irrigation districts in the state in 1887. Today, we must save the best farmland in the world. It's worth the fight. I don't care where you go in the world, there's no prime farmland as good as we have in Stanislaus County. This is because of the soil, the water, and the climate we have here in our county. Unfortunately, there are people who want to make our county into a bedroom community for the Bay Area. That's terrible. By working together, our children and descendants will look back and thank us for stopping the sprawl of Stanislaus County cities. Our cities can build on their infill areas by building up and not out, and by repurposing their blighted areas. It's hard to figure out what's going on. Please wake up. Wake up for the sake of our children and our descendants. We are not a bedroom community for the Bay Area. We are the breadbasket for our country. We must save our farmland. It's extremely important, and we've got to start now. Modesto has to do it. You have to save our farmland. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward to speak under public comment? Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Lucas. I'm a member of City of Modesto. I actually watched one of your guys' videos last time, and it makes me really sad how many people get in car accidents because of reckless behavior. Me as a citizen of Modesto, I would like the red light camera program to be reinstalled and reinstated. In fact, I wanted to mention in this meeting that Route 33 was collided with a car at I and 5th Street. I feel like if we as a city of Modesto had the red light camera program reinstated, we would have a 50% reduction in car accidents. Is it fine if I read some research?
Sure.
All right. So from what I've researched, red light camera programs can be actually a more effective way in enforcing law rather than hiring 20 law enforcement officers to pursue the same thing. Here's some statistics I got from Google. Red light cameras can reduce red light running related crashes by up to 21 to 30%. Red light running crashes can vary depends on the intersection of which the cameras are installed. The overall effectiveness of red light camera systems depends on the length of the yellow light as well as overall traffic collisions. I got that from IIHS. Red light running crashes can vary, The overall effectiveness of the red light camera system depends on the lane. Oh, that's same too. Most drivers may receive an automated ticket, have not received another. In 2021, this is year 2021, 1,109 people were killed in red light running incidents. In 2022, 1,149 people have been killed in collisions that involved red light running violations nationwide. That's roughly a 40% jump on a year basis. Traffic regulation cameras do not violate privacy, as people say, as driving a vehicle is a regulated activity and is not a privilege, and is a privilege. In 2021, there has been 43,000 deaths in the United States due to traffic incidents. This is a result of traffic violations and is high in 16 years. U.S. traffic fatalities have dropped 3.6%. This is overall in 2023. This is the second in a row that this has dropped. Any questions?
That's all right. We're here to listen, so I appreciate your comments. Thank you. All right, welcome.
Yes, my name is Perfecto Munoz, and I'm privileged to be in front of all of you, Mayor and City Council. I wasn't able to make the 28th meeting to acknowledge thank you for extending our time in the King Kennedy Memorial Center, and I'm doing it today. I want to thank all of you for supporting us. I also want to thank Eric Alvarez for all the work that he's done on our end in terms of being very supportive and encouraging, and I appreciate that. I really do. And also want to thank our Allison here, our deputy city manager, as well as our Parks and Rec director, who's met with the community on many occasions to try to figure out the best way to manage how we maintain our operational status in the building. And we look forward to the opportunity to receive the RFA or RFP in order to continue to operate the center. We really look forward to it. Over the last few years, the center has made some real difference in that community, both in terms of public safety. To thank the police department for putting up cameras. We always wanted cameras. We finally got some, and both in the park, down the trail, and on the corner of I Street and Martin Luther King. So those are the kinds of things that have really adapted to what the community wants, and we look forward to continuing to see us grow. Just a little bit of a little more background. You know, we have like 12 different programs, and when we first started, we had an annual budget of $258,000 when I first came in, and now we have an annual budget of $1.5 million, and that's because we've been doing the good things for the community, and we hope to continue to do that and bring in revenue because we have employees who invest back into the community. And so we are also a steward of making sure that the community invests as well as in the community. And finally, I want to say that I'm proud to say that the numbers that we did for 24, we served over 20,000 people. More than I would imagine, but that was because of people coming in seeking services from us. So we believe that we are a good steward, and we hope that we can continue the relationship with the city. And I would like to also say that a lot of the hard work goes back to the staff, not to me. They're the ones who do the work. I just follow the lead. And so with that, I'd like to thank you all for being very supportive of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comment? Okay. All right. You're only able to speak one time. But thank you. We're, of course, open any time after the meeting or whatever if you'd like to speak to it. Okay. Or our police chief is in the back of the room also if you wanted to speak to him. All right. Next on the agenda is consent items. An item may be removed from consent and discussed at the request of a member of the public or council member. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item removed for further discussion? Seeing none, is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment? Seeing none, will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Item 2, consider approving the minutes for the January 28th, 2025 council meeting. Item 3, consider approving an amendment to the mayor's appointments to the city council liaison committees for the 2025 calendar year. Item 4, consider approving the recommended budget adjustments to fiscal year 2024, 2025 annual operating and CIP budgets. Item 5, consider accepting the Grisada Park pool fencing replacement project as complete, releasing securities, releasing payments totaling $164,907 to Joe's Landscaping and Concrete Incorporated at a Newman, and authorizing the city clerk to file a notice of completion. Item 6, consider accepting an informational report for the December 2024 accounts payable payment register and void report. Item 7, consider approving a memorandum of understanding for service between the City of Ceres, the City of Modesto, Stanislaus Consolidated Fire Protection District, the City of Turlock, and Stanislaus County Fire Warden's Office for Fire Department Training Services. Item 8, consider approving an amendment to the bylaws of the Modesto Blight Abatement Advisory Committee to allow for 2 positions of registered electors of Stanislaus County to be filled by registered electors of the City of Modesto for 1 term if no applications for these positions are received. Item 9, consider approving the agreement with Amano McGann Incorporated out of Roseville, Minnesota for parking access control revenue system upgrade, field devices, and software for a total amount not to exceed $991,495 over 4 years.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion approved.
Approved by Councilmember Escutia Brayton, second by Councilmember Wright. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye, so it carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is council comments and reports. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports? Jeremiah Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 27th of last month, had the opportunity to go to Capistrano Elementary School. They had a kindness assembly, kindness day, and we had an opportunity to say just a few words, and the first thing that came to my mind was to be like a tree, because a tree reaches to the sky, a tree supports so many, a tree gives off energy, a tree actually gives shade, a tree can be a friend. So I told them to be a tree. Then also on the 30th, we had the opportunity to be at the plaza for the 111th celebration for the Modesto Chamber of Commerce. And I was accompanied with Rosa Escutia Brayton, councilwoman, and we were very happy to be there to help congratulate those who received honors. The one I do want to mention is Ray Simon, who was actually able to be there and receive his award with his bride. And they had a little interview with him on stage, and he did an outstanding job. February 1st, we had it was the Year of the Snake for the Chinese Year of the Snake, and there was an event happening at the Senior Center where the City of Modesto is in part sponsor. It went really well. There was a lot of different different performances from all different ethnicities, which was really nice. And we congratulate Bruce Lockhart and everything that he had to do along with the city staff to make that happen. And then, of course, this is Black History Month. And celebrating Black History Month, there are articles in the Modesto View that my daughter and I were privileged to be able to participate in to help write. But beyond that, at Gallo Center this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there is a group called Sankofa. Sankofa is the first African-American theater company in Modesto to date. They've been in existence for 10 years, and they are having a production called Sweat. And you can attend that production. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Gallo Center for the Arts. And if you need that information, just go to gallocenterarts.com and get all the rest of that information. And so we congratulate them for 10-year anniversary, as well as putting on this wonderful production in Black History Month. Lastly, before I forget, the 28th at the King Kennedy Center, there is a Black History Month program put on by the King Kennedy Board of Directors, and that is a free event, and that is, again, starting at 6 o'clock at the 601 North Martin Luther King Drive. I don't know why I always remember that address. And that is a free event, and that is the Black History Month program. And that concludes my long dissertation, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Ricky.
From Jeremiah's long dissertation to mine, I guess is what we're doing. But it's unfortunate that Modesto is one of the most dangerous cities in the state for traffic accidents and driving-related incidents. In the coming budget, I'm hopeful that we can add 3 more traffic officers to continue the work to make Modesto safer. MPD is very good at recognizing trends and identifying our challenges, so it's our job as a council to give them the resources they need to put their plans into motion. I want to remind homeowners that Modesto has an ADU dashboard that can help you build that granny flat or mother-in-law quarters on your property for a family member or as an income property with dramatically reduced permit fees and free pre-approved architectural plans. All you got to do is just Google ADU Modesto, follow the link, and then you'll learn more. And I want to say thanks to our Community and Economic Development Department for their dedication to improving housing in our community and building the ADU dashboard. And finally, city trees and restoring our urban canopy is an important priority for me. City of Modesto has been pulling over 1,000 trees a year for at least the past 3 years, mostly because they're getting old and they need to be pulled. But we need a more robust plan to replant them. And an urban canopy, it reduces harmful pollutants and it mitigates summer air temperatures. It lowers temperatures an average of 11 to 19 degrees as compared to places without an urban canopy, according to the U.S. Forest Service. Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Next, Eric Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to first acknowledge the marches for migrant awareness, and I'm not sure if I titled that correctly, but I sit on the Latino Emergency Council for El Concilio as a board member, and also as a District 2 City Council member for the City of Modesto. I give that perspective. And we've been working with CRLA, California Rural Legal Assistance, for preparation to engage with the migrant population and communities throughout not only Modesto, but throughout the region and the county, if you will, for Know Your Rights workshops. And so I'm happy to report that that's been an ongoing effort ever since the beginning of the year. And I'm looking forward to seeing how those come to fruition and how many folks are able to attend and receive valuable information that can help them navigate these turbulent times. Second and final, I want to acknowledge Dr. Perfecta Munoz. I appreciate your acknowledgement of the work that we've been doing as a council. It's not just me, it's a council effort, but I've been fighting to ensure that we retain the West Modesto Community Collaborative's services in the district. Being born and raised in District 2 in the west side, it's valuable. I know your guys' impact, and you read off some statistics. I'd like to see, and you may have it, or it may be under development, I'd like to see a 2024 impact report, so that way we can speak to that, we can see some data, and understand the depths of your impact. 20,000 people served, I mean, that's pretty significant. And I think that it's important that we understand just exactly how you're serving the West Modesto community and the surrounding areas. And I think that impact report will allow us to glean insight into just that in the specifics. So that's about all I have, Mayor. I will be leaving early today. I have an unforeseen circumstance that came up, but that's all I have to report tonight.
All right. Councilmember Scooty Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted at this point to acknowledge the public service and sacrifice, as well as provide a status on Officer Michael Brocades. If you all recall, in 2021, he suffered gunshot wound injuries while serving a search warrant. And Officer Brocades is actively back on full service, working as a detective in our investigative services division. And I bring this up at this point because it just speaks to the immense resiliency, heroism, strength, and perseverance of our officers and our workforce. And it's particularly meaningful today because yesterday, the trial of the person who shot Officer Brocades, the jury came up, is currently under deliberation on establishing a verdict on the trial. So that occurred yesterday. So at any point now, they will be coming out with a verdict on the trial. So it's relevant to today. So we'll all, again, continue to send our appreciation and our well wishes to Officer Brocades, who is in good health, despite the fact that due to injuries of his injuries of that day did suffer partial amputation, which is egregious. But again, due to his resiliency and just sacrifice for his service of our community, is actively protecting our community and in full service at this point. So thank you. Also, I want to mention tomorrow we will be celebrating in the City of Modesto, supporting the grand opening of a new business in Modesto, and this is Vallarta Supermarket. And it's not just your typical supermarket in Modesto where they will be selling tacos of sort, but this is a wonderful, large business establishment that could have really built this business anywhere, and they decided to build this supermarket here in Modesto, not just one, but two. The first one will be opening up tomorrow, ribbon cutting, and it's just affording our city to have ample economical growth and vitality in the northern part of Modesto. Ample jobs will be afforded to our constituents. Healthy food opportunities will be available. So tomorrow is going to be an immense celebration with music, food, celebration, certificates. So anyone wishing to attend, please join us. This will be at where the old Save Mart used to be on Sisk and Pellendale, across from Costco. Celebration will begin at 8:15 with entertainment. Ceremonies will take place. Ribbon cutting will be at 9 a.m. Again, something to celebrate. And that's all I have for the moment. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. To the young gentleman that talked about the red lights, pleased to note that in the next couple of months, there'll be, I think, around 10 or so red light cameras that'll be going up throughout the city of Modesto in areas that have seen high accidents, and so they'll be going up, and then hopefully more will be coming down the road. Thank you, Mayor.
I have a couple questions.
All right, if you could please direct your questions to the police chief. He's in the back of the room. He would oversee this. Yeah, thank you. All right, next, Jeremiah Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I was remiss that I left out one. I do want to say thank you to Councilwoman Scooty Brayton for bringing up the Brocades family. They are an exemplary law enforcement family, and I'm looking forward to being at one of their events that's coming up this coming week. But the one thing I wanted to mention to not just those that are here, but those that are online that are listening, and hopefully you can spread that word if you want to meet an elected official on 2025, they at El Concilio at 1214 H Street at El Concilio from 4 to 6 o'clock. Which is this coming Thursday. You have that opportunity. It's free to the public. It's El Concilio, 14, excuse me, let me look at that a little clearer, 1314 H Street, and that is on Thursday. Thank you, Mayor. That's it.
All right. I had the opportunity to get a little update from the Modesto Children's Museum, and I thought I would share the information with all of you because it is noteworthy and impactful. So our Museums for All Access program provides a discounted ticket price for SNAP EBT users. The museum had over 26,000 children and families served in the very first year.
Right.
This beats numbers in just about any other museum anywhere. 35% of the ticket sales at Mochi Moo are discounted through this program. The national average of that discount is 5%. But our museum had 35% of ticket sales to help out. Modesto Children's Museum has partnered with Stanislaus County Libraries to make free Discover and Go passes to the museum available for use by library card users throughout the county. A maximum of 4 guests can visit the museum using one Discover and Go pass, with 2 passes being available per day for a total of 8 people per day. That's over 2,500 free guests a year. They've received a national spotlight. They will be hosting the cartoon Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse, which is apparently a really, really big deal if you have little ones, on a national tour to premier children's museums. It's an incredible opportunity for Mochi Moo to be in collaboration with DreamWorks, Netflix, and the Association of Children's Museums. You can read about that in the national publication Parents Magazine. There's school partnerships. They've partnered with Modesto City Schools to ensure that every TK and K kindergarten student, transitional kindergarten, and kindergarten student visits Mochi Moo and will visit 30 early childhood classrooms throughout outreach programs, extending their impact into even more classrooms. Modesto Children's Museum is seen as a leader among Central Valley museums and Northern California children's museums, with record visitorship among both groups. Mochi Moo has welcomed visitors from across the country and the world, welcoming visitors from 39 of our 50 states, as well as Guam, Washington, D.C., and additional international locations. They're an award-winning museum. They have been recognized as the Nonprofit of the Year by the Modesto Chamber of Commerce and 6 Best of Modesto awards. Thank you. That is my report for this evening. Next on the agenda is City Manager's comments and reports. Not tonight. Next on the agenda is new business, item 10. Consider approving City of Modesto's Home Key project application to California Department of Housing and Community Development for the project located at 1121 Needham Street, Modesto, California, 95354, with a project cost not to exceed $22,896,000 and a memorandum of understanding with El Capitan Home Key LP that includes a community development block grant loan not exceed $3,007,163. And we will have a staff report from Jessica Hill. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Jessica Hill, Director of Community and Economic Development. So one of the core initiatives of our Community Development Division is to help encourage, fund, and support the development of affordable housing within the city. We receive grant funding annually, both from the state of California and the federal government, the Housing and Urban Development Department, for this initiative. A lot of times the funding we receive over the counter, we look to leverage this funding with competitive grants that we're applying for. And throughout the last several years, we've been successful in engaging in affordable housing activities to build in Modesto and leverage grant funding. In this case, Up Holdings, who we are currently partnering with Jenny's Place, or the renovation of Travelers, submitted a proposal for the El Capitan Motel ahead of what's called the State Home Key Plus funding announcement. So when Proposition 1 was approved in March 2024, that's when the funding went back to the state to help those with behavioral health or substance use challenges. As one funding source for this, they established Home Key Plus, which is very similar to Project Home Key, to help with acquisition and rehabilitations of motels, master leasing, new construction, and other uses as well. So they released $2.1 billion for eligible projects with Prop 1 funds. The income levels has to be those who are extremely low or below 30% of the area median income. So for a household of 2, that's about $21,900 per year. The funds are also restricted this time to those who do have a behavioral health or substance use issue. So for the El Capitan Motel, it's located on 1121 Needham Street, and it has a total of 49 units. In the project before you, we are proposing 24 of those units to be for veterans and 24 for behavioral health units, as well as 1 on-site manager. We will be partnering with Behavioral Health and Recovery Services and the Veterans Services Agency, both who will provide on-site supportive services like case management, peer support, mental health services, and then the linkage to medical and dental health care. So the project location is, like I said, 1121 Needham Street, but it's also very close to different amenities. It's 0.2 miles from MJC, 0.3 miles from a local park, and then 0.3 miles from the Golden Valley Health Center. There's also public transit right available in front of the property on Needham. So for our project costs, our project costs are a little unique for this project. We are anticipating $14 million for acquisition and rehab. We have about $2.2 million in pre-development and soft costs and $1 million in contingency for the total capital part of the project to be $17.4 million. What we are asking for with the Project Home Key funding is operational subsidies and reserves. And so that ask is going to be $5.4 million and associated with the ask directly to the state for Project Home Key funding. What we have in through our partnerships is the Housing Authority has let us know that the project-based vouchers are actually at full capacity, and so we wanted to ensure that we had a backup in case housing vouchers were not available for this property, and so that's where that $5.4 million comes in. So as part of our ask, the Project Home Key grant will be for capital of the $13 million and then the operating reserves of the $5.4 million, and they're looking for a local match as well. And so with that, we were able to secure funding from the Community System of Care, totaling $922,000, as well as $500,000 from Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. So as a partnership with the city, we are looking to assist with a CDBG loan of $3 million to add up to the total project cost of $22.8 million. And I touched on this, of the $500,000 from Behavioral Health and Recovery Services and the $922,000 from the Community System of Care. So if approved tonight, we'd be able to submit the application this month. The applications actually just got released at the end of January. We anticipate award announcements in summer 2025, and we will start construction soon after that. We are anticipating winter, maybe even sooner, to be fully completed within 12 months period of time. So to meet the award timeline, what we have to do is enter into a memorandum of understanding with our partner Up Holdings. And what this does is outlines different roles and responsibility, as well as outlining the $3 million loan that would be from CDBG, which would also be contingent on if we were funded for the Project Home Key Award. So the first one's the MOU, and then the second one is the state actually requires a specific resolution to apply for this funding. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, does council have any questions of staff? David Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. One of my questions is, how many full-time residents are at that location now? My understanding, when we do home key, we have to find additional or other housing for people that are there on long-term, correct?
That is correct.
And how many are there now?
So at this point in time, we anticipate there's 3 units that have long-term stayers, which we'd have to work with relocation assistance for.
And then also in the operating subsidies and reserves, the reason why there is a $5 million fund there is because these are market they're not market rate housing, they're subsidized housing. And the funds that come in for the housing is not enough to keep the project operating. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So we have to use additional monies in order to make sure that we have a manager on site and that we're able to take care of any problems with the construction or maintenance of the project.
That is correct. And for context, the most a household would be able to pay would be $547. And so that's the most that we could charge for rent. So the other part would be the supplementing.
So the
to ensure we have that to pay for.
would help on the upkeep and everything.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Scooby Brayton.
Thank you for that presentation. What a wonderful project, Jessica. So in addition to the clients from the Stanislaus County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, will that make up the entire demographic of the residents, or will there be others served?
So it's going to be 24 units strictly for behavioral health and then 24 who are veterans.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice Mayor Bavaro.
Thank you, Mayor. What is the timeline on this project?
So the timeline, when we hear back from the state and after we sign agreements, they have to be built within 12 months.
And are your numbers taking into consideration the increased cost of material and possible, I know you can't project out, but you know, we are seeing what's happening on the discussion of tariffs with Mexico and Canada at 25%, but that was put on pause. If that does occur, how do we mitigate that problem?
So these numbers were established prior to any of those outside factors, even prior to the fires in Los Angeles.
Okay.
We do anticipate that if this becomes an issue, it will become an issue for all home key applications, and we'd work closely with the state in order to resolve it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Jessica, I know that we won't be responsible for this, but who will be responsible for identifying the 24 veterans in need?
So we'll work very closely with the coordinated entry system, and those who actually are most vulnerable in our community and qualifies as a veteran will be first offered these housing units. And so for this, the Housing Authority does administer the VASH vouchers, so we'll work very closely with them.
So they already have a line in on veterans who need the services?
Correct. They
Thank
offer,
you.
yes.
All right, any other questions from council members at this time? I will now open this up to the public. First, I have a blue card from Diane Cruzy regarding item 10.
I have to say that's quite a thing that she has got put together, and very detailed, et cetera. My problem with it is a lot of it looks like more behavioral health stuff, even though the veterans, it doesn't say what kind of veterans. If it's just going to be an ordinary veteran, it doesn't matter. But you already have spent, excuse me, I'm trying not to cough. You have already spent a lot of money on tiny houses. I don't even know if they're built yet, on D Street and 9th. And that only can be mentally health people there. Now we're going to build more, and half of it is going to be for behavioral health. But in the meantime, you're going to spend $22,896,000, not to exceed now, just $22 million, almost $23 million, folks, if you round it off a little bit. And then you have a grant loan coming from $3 million or something from Home Key, which I understand from her is from the state, I think is what I heard. I don't understand. If we can do all this, why can't you do something for homeless? This money even sounds like what was in Measure H. And you set aside some money, something like $3 million or more, for tiny houses, and nothing ever happened. You never found property or nothing. But yet we got $22 million, and we're going to rehab an old motel. And you did the same thing, I think, on Sisk Road. And how did that turn out, folks? Can you tell me? I doubt if you can. I know what Kansas House happened to it, and the one on Vine Street. And is this going to be another one of those? Because you don't want responsibility, but you don't mind spending this money. And I don't mind you spending money either if it's for real people. And the VA really needs it, I'm sure. But half of this place is going to be for behavioral health. Now that's nice. I mean, disabled people and mentally ill people all need to have a place. But golly, guys, you keep spending all kinds of money on things that have absolutely nothing to do, mostly with homeless, even though we know we have a lot of VA homeless, which is really sad considering they probably tried to protect our country. We don't call them losers and suckers like some do. And I certainly don't. And, you know, you're going to spend a whole lot of our money. And Home Key is going to help. Why doesn't Home Key help with the other stuff? Did you try? Yeah. That's about all I have, because I really don't, the details on here are really stumbling for somebody like me, because it really takes a big head, a good head, to put it all together. And I compliment her, but it's beyond me, folks. You got a lot of money here, and you don't even know what you're going to accomplish. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other members of the public that would like to come forward regarding item 10? All right, I will close public comments on this item. Are there any comments from council members? Councilmember Ricky.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I just want to applaud CED for coming up with this plan for this property. When we talk about people with behavioral health issues, they are a huge segment of our homeless population that are really the hardest to place. And so when BHRS recognizes candidates for this kind of facility, it creates a solution to a very, very difficult problem that we're having in the homeless situation. And so I think it's a very important investment and a very good investment. I also want to underline the fact that this money is coming from the state of California, and we can complain about how much it costs. That's true, we can. But if it is something that really irritates you, it's something you need to talk to your state representatives about. I'm tired of the city having to take the fall for state rules. We don't make these rules. If we want their money, we have to follow their rules. That's how it works. So if you're angry about how much these projects cost, you need to talk to your state representatives. But most importantly, I just appreciate the efforts that our city is making to try to be proactive and solve these problems. If you look at Kansas House, if you look at what's happened with Travelodge on 9th Street, if you look what's happening here, we are actively, in a very short period of time, making projects that are going to reduce our homeless population. And that's what you want us to do, and that's what we're going to try to do. And I support this. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a quick question for Jessica, if you would, please. Can you explain a little bit at Home Key? What are the parameters of Home Key's money, how it can be used, and everything?
So Home Key is specifically to build new units of permanent housing for those who are homeless or experiencing homelessness. On top of being homeless, they have to be under 30% of the area median income. And in this case, this funding source has to assist behavioral health and recovery services clients.
Okay, so we could not use the money just to build housing for people off the street that don't have no income?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other comments from council members? Seeing none at this time, I'm just going to echo what Chris Ricky said. Thank you for making those comments. I agree wholeheartedly. There's two resolutions, and we can vote on both of them together. A resolution approving the City of Modesto's Home Key project application to the California Department of Housing and Community Development for the project located at 1121 Needham Street, Modesto, California, 95354, with a total project cost not to exceed $22,896,000, and approving a memorandum of understanding that includes a community development block grant loan to El Capitan Home Key LP in an amount not to exceed $3,007,163, authorizing the city manager or his designee to submit the application applicable documentation with alterations as required by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, as well as negotiate and execute any related program agreements or documents required for the implementation and acceptance of Home Key Plus program grant as required by HCD, and a resolution of the governing body of the City of Modesto authorizing joint application to and participation in the Home Key program for the development at 1121 Needham Street. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Approved by Councilmember Ricky and a second by Councilmember Wright. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez is absent. Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwollen.
Aye. So the motion carries 6-0 with Councilmember Alvarez absent at this point in the meeting. As previously noted by the city attorney at the beginning of this meeting, I will now recuse myself, as well as Councilmember Rosa Scudia Brayton, from this agenda item. Vice Mayor Bavaro will preside over the meeting for this item. So please wait until we are gone.
We all have to say yes.
Okay. Item 11, consider approving the plans and specifications for the Scenic Drive Phase 2, Dry Creek Trail Phase 2, Kansas Avenue and Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program, Cycle 1 project, accepting the bid and awarding a contract to Bay Cities Paving and Graving, Inc. of Concord, California, for the amount not to exceed $13,551,894, and approving an agreement with TRC Engineering, Inc. of Lathrop, California, for construction management services, inspection and materials testing services for the total amount not to exceed $957,578. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Bavaro and members of the City Council. Toby Wells, Director of Engineering Services and the City Engineer. Happy to present this evening on a project that is one project but actually incorporates 6 projects that are all locally funded with Measure L. So these projects have been in design for a little bit here, and we got good bids, and we're looking forward to presenting those this evening. So as I mentioned, the 6 projects, so Scenic Drive Pavement Rehabilitation, the Neighborhood ADA Improvement Program, Dry Creek Trail Phase 2, Orangeburg Avenue Pavement Rehabilitation Phase 2, Kansas Avenue Pavement Rehabilitation, and lastly, the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program Cycle 1. So I'll cover each of those projects with a little bit of overview of the projects. So Scenic Drive, between Bodum Street and Oakdale Road. This is again is a primarily rehabilitating the roadway, asphalt overlay, signage striping, bringing it up to current standards for storm drainage, street lights, and overall pavement conditions. Lion's share of the project, you see the $5.4 million, is a little over 40% of the total project costs. The next project is the neighborhood ADA improvements. So this is primarily ADA accessible ramps at various intersections throughout town. There's actually 67 locations. These are selected based on complaints for ADA compliance and primarily focused in and around schools and the neighborhoods around schools. We allocate funding for these projects and incorporate them into the other roadway projects, but these are standalone locations that will move forward as well. So Dry Creek Trail Phase 2, so this is an overlay, basically repaving an existing trail system and bringing it up to current standards with striping, signage, and bike path lighting. And again, about $900,000 of the $12 million. Next roadway section, so Orangeburg Avenue. This is between McHenry and Coffee Road. This includes roadway resurfacing, signage, ADA upgrades, striping, storm drainage improvements. The $3.5 million of the $12 million. As I mentioned, about a little over 80% of the project is roadway rehabilitation or repaving or overlay referred to as. Next roadway section, so Kansas Avenue. This is between Carpenter and Morse Avenue. This roadway was adjacent to a lot of the work that was completed with the SR 132 project. So this is bringing them up to current standards and providing the asphalt overlay for $1.3 million. And lastly, a project that has been in the works for a while. This is the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program, Cycle 1. So there's 11 street segments throughout the city of Modesto that will receive speed cushions. Most people refer to them as speed humps or bumps. Speed cushions have the brake in them for the larger vehicles like fire trucks. This will install the first segment through the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program. As you may recall, the City Council adopted that program in late 2022. And for a project to qualify, it requires a traffic study and analysis for street segments that have volumes and speeds of traffic that meet those criteria. So the 11 street segments that were chosen were the projects and the areas that meet the highest scoring or highest ranking in that analysis we've done for the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program.
You're not allowed to ask questions during presentation.
So here's a map showing the location of those neighborhood traffic calming programs, where they are throughout the city, and then we'll cover each one of those. So 11 locations I mentioned. So Isla Way, so this is just east of McHenry. There'll be 4 speed cushions along that segment. Pine Tree Lane, so this is just south of Paradise Road, east of Carpenter, 3 speed cushions there. Emerald Avenue, so again, this is south of Mays Boulevard, Muriel. This is by Franklin Elementary School. Lillian Drive, Orangeburg Avenue to Johanna Drive. Sheldon Avenue, that's Shawnee to Jasper. Encina, El Vista Avenue to North Riverside Drive. And you'll note most of these are in and around schools. And those are the locations where we generally get both the complaints and the volumes and speeds meet the criteria. So the last 4, Marin Avenue between Ustick and Dallas, Laura Avenue, Emerald to MLK, Edgebrook Drive from El Vista to Riverside, and Tokay from Coding Drive to Sunrise Avenue, and lastly, Veneman Avenue from Conant to Cambor Drive. So here's the summary of the costs of the overall project. So the construction contract there, the $12.3 million, plus a contingency for the not to exceed amount, just $13,500,000. The second resolution authorizing the construction management with our contract firm of TRC to manage the construction during the project. Then in construction administration during the project for a total not to exceed of $14.8 million. And again, local Measure L funds for the project. And that's the staff recommendation that you read earlier. There may be a question in terms of what's listed. The project is basically at all. So the title, we shortened it because of the number of projects. So there are 6 roadway projects incorporated into the overall project that was bid, and that with the action, you're accepting that design and bid process, and the recommendation from staff is to award to Bay City's paving and grading project, and we look forward to getting started on the construction in late spring to early summer of this year. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does the council have any questions of staff? Councilman Wright?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Toby, for that presentation. On Coffee Road, what's the What part of Coffee Road that's it's going to be?
Between McHenry and, it's on Orangeburg, between McKinney and Coffee.
Between McHenry and Coffee.
Yeah, so it's Orangeburg is the road.
Orangeburg,
being
it's not
reconstructed.
Coffee Road.
It's not Coffee,
Okay.
correct. It is
Thank you.
to the intersection of Coffee. The Phase 1 project was east of Coffee last year. So this is the next phase.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
No.
I mean, Williams?
You're right now. So, my question is, on the traffic calming program, is there and will there be an opportunity for more down the road?
Yes, so we've
Okay.
allocated in the Measure L program $500,000 per year
Okay.
for that program for these types of installations. It won't always be speed cushions. These were, again, the highest priority projects. And you'll notice most of those streets are older streets that are long and straight, where you have potential for cut-through, where you're seeing, those volumes. As we continue to get more of the analysis, there'll be different types of traffic calming implementation that will go with each year, but the goal is to do a $500,000 per year project that's focused primarily on traffic calming.
Perfect. So the follow-up question is there certain areas in the city of Modesto that cannot have, I know McHenry can't have it, but are there other streets that can, like Union, for instance, are these streets not applicable for having that type of?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So the adoption of the neighborhood traffic calming program is just that, neighborhood. So it's focused on those lower volume streets, so the residential streets and collector below. So the larger arterials, those streets are not eligible for the neighborhood traffic calming program. That would have to be through another funding source, another opportunity. So this is really focused on those areas, as I mentioned, where you're seeing cut-through traffic, you're seeing folks bypass other areas, and they're creating problems within their neighborhood. So that's really the focus of that program.
Okay, and then lastly, I think Tokay, or that's no region, Tokay has, in that area where the school, is that closer to the school? And
Correct, it's right in front of the school.
Are the 11, how many out of the 11 are close to a school?
I believe 6 or 7 of the
That's
11 are
that's
in or
great.
around a school, at least within the neighborhood of a school.
That's great. That is definitely traffic calming. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of staff? Councilman Ricky?
Thanks, Vice Mayor. Talk to me about the funding source for the ADA sidewalk stuff in that was like the first slide.
Yeah, it's all Measure L. These are all
Measure L, okay.
local
So
Measure L.
Orangeburg, Measure L,
Yeah.
Kansas, Measure L.
All 6 projects are Measure L funded.
Great. Deputy Chief, can you come down? I have a fire question.
Shannon Evans, Deputy Chief.
Thank you. One of the concerns that I've heard over the years is that speed humps cause damage to fire apparatus, and I've just always heard that, and that's what I've told my constituents when they request speed humps. Can you give me an analysis of how this is going to impact fire?
In my career, the early ones were a little difficult to navigate, but these new ones don't seem to cause any damage to fire apparatus when I've dealt with them in my driving time.
Okay.
So,
Can you tell me if they can cause damage to the apparatus at all?
I don't believe they do.
Okay.
cause
Do you
damage to
feel like they
apparatus.
reduce response times?
No, not that much. I was able to navigate them
Okay.
pretty well when I was a driver for 14 years. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Toby, just a couple more questions about the speed humps. So this process was totally data-driven, it sounds like?
That's correct. So we have a long list of folks who request on a regular basis. Council members all get
and it's
those.
awful.
Yes.
And we have almost every resident on every street wants them. I'm not super excited we're doing it because it's going to just make it very, very difficult. I'd rather have other apparatuses to deal with, other strategies to deal with this problem. But those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further Councilman Williams?
Yes. Toby, one more quick question on the scenic drive pavement. So from Bowen to Oakdale Road, now, is there going to be any change from Bowen to Coffee on that route, or just the pavement?
So
repavement.
That roadway will be completely repaved, and in the basically the area near the, we'll call it the cemetery curve, that corner, that will be reconstructed, and the roadway curve will be flattened out. There'll be a center median installed with lighting. That median will assist in ensuring drivers stay in their own lane, as well as flattening the curve within the existing right-of-way, and installing what we refer to as a super elevation. So think of, as you're getting in a freeway on-ramp, where the roadway is sloped in one direction. That will allow for better turning movements in that roadway, so bringing it up to current standards.
That's exactly what I wanted the citizens of Modesto to hear, that there is going to be a change there.
Improvements.
And improvements,
Yeah, and again,
which
bringing
are
it up
needed.
to current standards.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions by council? Seeing none, I have a question, Toby. Again, these are locked-in contracts, correct?
Correct, yeah. Once the bids are open, those prices are locked in.
Yes. So looking at the uncertainties in the future of cost of materials that I anticipate will be coming, will if the people who bidded on this are unable to afford to, or they're going to want to come back to the council and ask for more money, what's that process?
Yeah, so they've submitted bids, and those bids are locked in for a period of 90 days. So these bids were received in December, so the 90-day period is still valid. So once the council accepts, that would be the action tonight, accepting those bids, the contractual relationship says this is what we're going to pay you for those items you've bid on. So they're taking that risk on them. So the only additional cost would be contract change orders. So changes in the scope and nature of the work, where that contingency would come into play. But wholesale material changes, that's the risk that they take by providing a bid.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. Seeing that no other questions by council, any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, I will then close public comments and ask if council has any further comments. Seeing none, I now will call for the clerk to read the resolutions.
Yes, Vice Chair. First resolution approving the plans and specifications for the Scenic Drive Phase 2, Dry Creek Trail Phase 2, Kansas Avenue, and Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program Cycle 1 project, accepting the bid and awarding a contract to Bay Cities Paving and Grading Incorporated at a Concord in the amount of $12,319,904 and authorizing change orders up to the cumulative amount of $1,231,990 for a total agreement amount not to exceed $13,551,894 and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the contract. Second resolution approving an agreement with TRC Engineers Incorporated of Lathrop, California for construction management and inspection services for the Scenic Drive Phase 2, Dry Creek Trail Phase 2, Kansas Avenue, and Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program Cycle 1 project in the amount not to exceed $870,525 plus $87,053 for additional services if needed, for a total amount not to exceed $957,578 and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the agreement.
Do I hear a motion?
I have a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Williams, second by Councilmember Wright. I now have the clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
And Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. I now will turn the meeting over to the mayor.
Where we apply.
Send you a bill.
Did everyone miss us?
Oh. That's my water. And this is the mayor's water.
right. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I am calling this meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.
All right.